Can you believe we started Interview Boss in 2021?
Not really. It's insane. That's a lot of episodes and a lot of hours of talking.
Oh my gosh, it is. And if you're scrolling through all of our episodes, you might scroll straight past something that you really, really needed.
Yes, we're always getting messages from people asking us to do an episode on something, and I'm like, we already have.
So we've put together playlists to help you find the episodes that are exactly what you need, suited to your situation.
They're all categorized. If you're applying for jobs, we have episodes about resumes, cover letters, job ads. If you've been offered your dream job, we have episodes on resigning, exit interviews, and how to impress at your new company.
And we even have a very special playlist that's very popular for if you have an interview coming up immediately and you need just our most recommended hard-hitting episodes between now and then.
For all our last-minute listeners. It's all there for you. You can browse by category and check out all the playlists at interviewboss.com.au/podcast.
Because I think people might be tempted to say, I'm not interviewing anywhere else. This is my only job.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Interview Boss. My name's Emma. I'm a radio journalist who's teamed up with my sister to give you advice, inspiration, and support when you're looking for a new job. Sarah is a HR and recruitment professional, and together we're excited to give you guys all the tips, tricks, and behind-the-scenes knowledge to help you in your career.
Hey Em, and welcome back everyone. Em, who are we giving a big fat shout out to this week?
This week we're shouting out a fellow Sarah. She says, "Hi girls, I wanted to thank you for your podcast. You changed my whole mindset of interviews. I had a few in the past few weeks and they were all so different from the last. My interview last week was awful. The lady was so rude, was talking to me like I was in a disciplinary meeting.
Oh my God.
I usually would have gotten upset and flustered, but instead I knew this was just as much for me as it was for them. So I started asking her questions, turned the tables, and she soon stopped trying to walk over me. I made the call myself and called the recruiter who arranged the meeting and told her that I didn't vibe and have no interest in working with her. Apparently the other interviewers loved me, and so no bridges burnt there, thankfully."
Oh.
Wow. My last interview went for over an hour. I loved their attitudes and asked them loads of questions that I'd prepared thanks to you girls. They called me an hour afterward to say they loved me and when could I start. It's such a relief. I've been in an awful toxic workplace the past few years and am on maternity leave and was dreading going back. So I just wanted to thank you again for all your support and advice. Listen to the Eye of the Tiger on my way as well as your pre-interview pep talk, and what a vibe. I love that.
It's so good. That is the best. And I just love how even in an interview that's terrible, where you go, I don't want to work for this person, you're still able to take control of that situation and turn it around. And if you had have still wanted the job, you would have still had that option. So I actually asked Sarah if she had any advice for our listeners. And I've been doing this a little bit when we get a really good story through what advice really resonated with her that she would like to share. And she said, my advice would be to keep your hopes up. Even if an interview doesn't result in a job, it's such a good learning experience and each one is closer to your dream job. It's so easy to feel disheartened and take it personally, but if it didn't happen, it wasn't meant to be. How nice is that? And she also said, here's some other small tips. She took the water, she brought in her notebook, and she made sure to pay attention and spoke to the quieter woman who was there in the panel interview. I think that was one of our panel interview tips, who actually turned out to be the decision maker. Gold advice. How good's that?
That's awesome because, yeah, it could be easy to just think, well, if they're not talking lots, then I'm going to just not talk to them. They should be asking me questions. But in this case, how awesome that she recognized, hey, we haven't heard from you much. I want to chat to you.
Exactly. And how much would you stand out compared to, say, if everyone just assumed that person wasn't talking much and she's been ignored by everyone else and you were the only one who brought her in? I love that.
I think that this Sarah could replace you.
I know, right?
She's a good student.
And also, like, how good is her story? So she's been out of work, returning to the workplace after mat leave, has been in a toxic workplace, had a bad interviewer, asked good questions, worked with an agency recruiter, took some of our advice for asking good questions and a panel interview. I was like, this has everything.
She's our dream example person that all of our episodes we've ever done can apply to a situation she's been in. And that's why we do it.
And it just goes to show you have to listen to all of our episodes because you never know when you might need a random one.
So if you want results like Sarah and you need a bit of extra help, check out the other Sarah's one-on-one sessions. You can find out all about them at www.interviewboss.com.au/coaching. That is always a mouthful. And if you liked one of our episodes, you want an episode completely dedicated to you, hit us up. We regularly create episodes based on what our listeners want and need.
We do, because we don't realize what's missing until someone points it out.
Yeah, well, I'm no longer an active job seeker, and so we need you guys to bring us the content. Diving straight into today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to answer where else are you interviewing? When you're job searching, do you have to disclose when you've got 6 balls in the air?
And this is a common question that a recruiter will ask you on a phone screen, on that initial conversation, sometimes at an interview. It could come from an agency recruiter as well, but this is a pretty common question. I would ask this, and so do people in my team. And I got asked this by a candidate the other day. What should I say? Am I meant to say, yes, I'm interviewing heaps of other places? Or am I meant to say, oh no, only your company?
It feels like a bit of a trick question, doesn't it?
What do we say about tricks though, Emma?
It never is a trick question.
It's not a trick.
Oh my God, I have to tell you this. Stop.
Okay, yeah.
So today at work, there's a new guy that started at our work in sales, and he got taken into the boardroom and another older sales guy was coaching him. I could hear it. I wasn't eavesdropping, but it's right next door. Anyway, and he brought him in and he's like, all right, sell me this water bottle. And I'm like screaming inside because I'm like, no, he has to do that. And I just thought in my head, I'm like, don't panic. It's not a trick. Just say anything. And I'm like having this internal monologue. And he did great because Sarah and I have talked about how it's not a trick question. There's not actually a right thing you're supposed to say about the water bottle. It's just a water bottle. But it's just about how well you can have a go and convince someone and be enthusiastic. And so this internal monologue's going, I'm like, come on, just say something.
What would you say if I gave you that?
I would say this water will quench your thirst like no water you've ever drank. It's Australian made from a pure creek of the Royal National Park River. It rebalances your pH.
Do you know what I would say?
You look thirsty.
How much water have you had to drink today?
Ooh.
I'll ask a question and start with questions and be like, sounds like you need some water. Lucky for you. Here you go.
Anyway, but to wrap that up, I was rooting for him because he didn't think it was a trick question. He understood. He just rolled with it. And that reminded me of how we always say nothing's ever a trick question.
And in this case, that applies. This isn't a trick question. And I think people sometimes wonder, why on earth are you asking me this question? It's a bit of a weird thing to be asked if you're not sure what's going on. And so I guess you can be like, oh, what am I meant to say? What's the right answer? But that's the wrong way to think about this. So why do we actually ask this question in the first place? I want you to have a guess. What do you think? Why would I ask this of one of my candidates?
Well, if they're really good and you're considering asking them, but maybe you're going to wait a week or two or you're a bit busy, you probably want to know if they have like pressing they might get snapped up. You might want to fast track it and give them a yes answer sooner.
Yeah. And also it's my responsibility to fill this job that I've got, right? And you might be the top candidate, you might be the bottom candidate, you might be in the middle. I don't even know yet because if we've just spoken, I don't even know maybe where you sit. I'm thinking, yeah, she sounds good. I want to find out some information. But it's my responsibility to fill this role. And so if you are the front runner and you're interviewing elsewhere, we might need to be quick to make you an offer. We might need to pull you first in the round of interviews and get you out of the way first so we can work out whether we want you and make sure we don't lose out just because of timing. But also, if you're our front runner, I might need to have backup candidates ready in case you don't take our offer. Because if you end up with multiple offers at the same time, just literally with statistics, chances are we may lose you because you might take someone else's offer if you're at interview stage.
It makes sense. Isn't it great when we realise that recruiters are just people and there's never these big sinister things going on?
I know. And I have a job to do. And what I'm trying to avoid is a situation, and this is what internal recruiters and agency recruiters really are always trying to do, where we're trying to plan ahead and trying to manage what the future is going to look like. And the more control we have and the more information we have, the better we can plan for that. So I know that if you're interviewing elsewhere, cool, we both need to move quickly for this role in order to get you an answer. It also might fast track some conversations about salary or what you're looking for or something like that. Because if I can't beat the other places you're interviewing or the other offers you've got, then there's not much point us going forward, right? We had that recently with a candidate who did a first round interview with us and we were going to progress to a second, but then he got an offer from someone else. And that offer was way beyond what we were going to be able to offer. So what we said was ordinarily we'd go to a second interview, but there's not much point because there's no way we're going to be able to beat that. So if you're thinking you're happy with that, great, you should take it. And so it helps us navigate those situations rather than going through 2 interviews, making an offer. Oh, I got something last week and I've already accepted it. Sorry. We don't want surprises.
Hey job hunters, big news. Our all new course, Interview Academy, is live and ready to transform your interview game. It's all the strategies from Sarah's one-on-one coaching, but without the limited time slots.
Yep, it takes you step by step through crafting your career story, coming up with your awesome best bits and all the practice you need.
And guess what?
It's at a special launch price, never to be seen again. Get more information at interviewboss.com.au/interview-academy. It's linked in the show notes below.
So what's the right answer?
There is no right answer. And anyone who gives you a script, like this is exactly what you should say every time, regardless of your situation.
Be skeptical.
Be skeptical about that.
Scroll past.
There is no right answer. I think our listeners, if they've listened to a few of our episodes, should know that we don't do that by prescribing answers. And what's the other thing we always say is be honest. You don't have to be fully transparent.
Be honest. We should make Interview Boss bumper stickers. Be honest. Own it. Get in before they ask you.
Tell the truth.
Yeah. So if you do genuinely have other interviews, tell them. And they can potentially fast track you or make sure that they keep in touch or get back to you. And if you don't, then use that as leverage to tell them why this role is something you're so excited about. Like, hang on, here's a textbook answer. No, I'm actually not interviewing anywhere else at the moment. While I'm really excited for a job change, I want it to be the right job. And I think your company really aligns with me. Boom, they've hired me just off that.
And also it makes you sound in that situation like, hey, I'm going to be selective. I'm not going to leave my current job for just anything. Which again, it needs to be the truth. So if you've said that because you think it sounds like a good answer and you were really impressed by Emma's version just then, but you actually desperately want to get out of your current job.
Say that only if you genuinely are only applying there.
Exactly.
Yes. Sorry. See, it's dangerous me giving out awesome examples because people are going to be like, right, I'm taking that. But no, they won't because they're our students. Clause, only if it applies.
Yeah. And if you're applying everywhere, but you're not interviewing yet, you can use that as well. Like, look, I've applied for a few things so far. This is the first process I'm in, but I'll update you if that changes. You can talk about how excited you are, why you've been attracted to that role, if that is the only kind of role that you're talking to and interviewing with. And if there are others, that could sound like, yeah, there are actually 2 other roles that I'm in the process for. They're just early stage though at the moment. We're just at phone screening or first round interview. Or, yeah, I actually had a second interview the other day with one particular company. So there's potentially maybe an offer in the next week or so. It's important information.
And if you have other offers, this is your top preference. Definitely tell them like, yeah, look, there are a few in the works. This is definitely my preference and priority though. If I got an offer here, that would come before any other offers or, if that's true.
Again, I wouldn't telling the truth doesn't mean like laying all your cards on the table. But I would say like I do have another offer already, but so far this role interests me more because you don't want to seem like, well, I already have an offer. Like there's no chance you're going to get me. Because I think people might be tempted to say, I'm not interviewing anywhere else. This is my only job.
Which could do you harm if you are looking elsewhere. Use it to your advantage, yeah.
I know, right? I just think there's so many traps if you use something that's not true and it has an effect that you weren't hoping for. Like you're saying, oh, I don't really need another job. I'm not really looking. This is the only interview. But you're desperately trying to get out and then you apply for 2 more jobs at that same company and they're like, hold on, that doesn't make sense.
As always, honesty, best policy.
Yeah.
And what if you have someone that's quite pushy and wants to know where? Do you have to tell them? Say if you said, yeah, I have applied for a few more in the communications space and they're like, where? What do you say? Do you have to tell them where?
You don't have to tell them. Not if you don't want to. You could say it if you really felt comfortable.
And how would you say, I don't want to tell you?
I would just say it. Like, let's do a role play. You asked me. Yeah, I've got a couple of other interviews, similar industries.
Where?
Oh, look, I'd prefer not to share. Done. Easy.
No worries. Okay.
Why did you laugh? Was it like, oh, that's so simple?
I don't know, just felt a bit awkward. Okay.
Oh, what? No, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, even if a recruiter asks, they fully expect you not to tell them. Like, they're just testing their luck.
But why would they ask? I feel like that's just pushy and annoying. Like, say if I said, oh, Google, what does that give them info for? What are they going to go, Google? Like, it gives them no new information, you know?
Well, here's what it does sometimes. And I've had candidates share with me where they're interviewing and where they've got offers from and things like that. And it can be helpful to help you as the recruiter hurry things along with other people. Well, they've got that offer from XYZ company, so we need to get back to them. Oh, XYZ. Oh, yeah, they're one of our big competitors. What was their offer? Oh, well, they haven't said, but, we need to hurry up if we actually want this candidate or not. Do you like them? Yeah, we really do. Okay, well, we need to make an offer today. It can be really helpful. You can still do all of that if you don't know where the company is. And here's the thing. When you change your LinkedIn, we're going to see where you went. So I don't know. It's not a big company secret if you're at the offer stage, I think. If you're at interview stage though, you don't have to share. If the only caveat to that though is that if you're working with an agency recruiter and they're representing you and you've built a relationship with them where you've met with them, you really like them, you've chosen to work with them, I encourage you to share who you've met with, who you've applied to and who you're interviewing with. The thing with agency recruiters is they need to know so that they don't send you there. Let's use an example company, plants.com. Okay. So I'm having an interview with plants.com and you are my recruiter and you know someone at plants.com and we've met and you're representing me and you're like, oh, do you know who would really like this candidate, Sarah? Plants.com. Mary, I'm going to call Mary. Hey, Mary, I've got this really great candidate, Sarah. And she's like, yeah, we already met her last week. It looks silly for you for being represented twice and they're not sure, is she represented by this agency? Is she direct? And it makes the recruiter look silly.
But surely you would always tell a recruiter.
People don't. I've seen a lot of stuff online about don't trust them.
That's weird. They're trying to help you. Give them all the information
I know,
possible.
Right? I've seen stuff online of don't trust them. They're just going to try and sabotage that interview. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my God. What's wrong with this industry?
If you hide things from them with that idea in mind, you're not going to have the right relationship. And if you don't trust them in the first place, then I'd encourage you to not work with them at all. It's one or the other kind of thing in my eyes. I had that conversation with a recruiter and I said, actually, I've already replied there, so you're not going to be able to represent me to that role. And she actually said, oh, that's okay. The role's changed since then, so I actually can represent you. But imagine if I hadn't shared that and then what would I have done? Awkwardly been well, I've already sent my resume there. Do I just not talk about it and the company's going to work it out?
And just internally panicked. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell your recruiters which companies. You don't have to tell an internal company if you don't want to.
So to sum it up, no, it's not a trick question. Be honest. Say whatever literally applies to you. And if they push about where it is, it's fine to say, oh, I'd rather not say.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely. And both situations can work in your favour.
Absolutely. And I hope next time you get asked that question, you might have a little bit less internal panicking.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks so much for listening to Interview Boss. If you like hearing the sound of our voices, hit that follow button in Apple or Spotify, or better yet, tell someone else about the show. That's how we hit the charts and we can help even more people. For more advice, inspiration, and a supportive community, check us out on Instagram at Interview Boss.
We've been your job search besties and helped you in some way. There's a cool way you can support the show. Shout us a virtual coffee.
We get a huge kick out of reading all of your success stories. Head to buymeacoffee.com/interviewboss and shout us a cuppa.
If you keep us caffeinated, we can keep the content coming.